What if Manaphy was in Gen 1 OU? Before any of you ask, no, I'm not giving it Tail Glow. For one, that is a Volbeat signature move in Generation 3, so not even belonging to Manaphy, even if Manaphy is the most associated with the move. And along with that, it just... Okay, this is going to sound crazy, but it wouldn't be that good. Now, what I mean by that is, when you think of Tail Glow in Gen 1, you imagine like Amnesia, but even better. You imagine it being a +3. And yeah, if Tail Glow worked like that, it would be very broken, and this thing would be easily Ubers. But for one, Tail Glow in the original Gen 3, it only raised special attack by 2 stages. So I know what you're thinking. Okay, that's just Amnesia, right? And the answer is still no. Because if you put it in Gen 1 custom games, it only boosts the special attack, and not the special defense. So yeah, I guess I could maybe give it just regular Amnesia, but I think there's a better solution. There were 2 moves that are actually Manaphy's signature moves. One was, I think it's called Heart Stamp, or Heart Swap, I think that's what it's called. Which was, its signature move in Generation 4. And Generation 9, both it and Fion got Take Heart. And I think Take Heart is a much more reasonable, much more interesting move to use, in my opinion. It's basically growth, but it's growth that can heal your status. And I tested it, it 100% works. This is a big deal. Out of nowhere, Manaphy is by far the best paralysis sponge in the game. Because Manaphy can heal itself with refresh, basically, from the paralysis. And that is a big deal, and that fundamentally changes how you play the game with Manaphy here. Because if you're a Starmie, Chansey, or Alakazam, do you bother with paralysis? Because paralysis is still as strong as it is in RBY. There's still a chance you can paralyze it, and then it can't move, so it can't heal itself with Take Heart. I don't know. It's very complicated. But you know what? I think that makes it better. Now, there are 2 main problems with Manaphy, and I'll get both of those out of the way before going over its many strengths. But the first one is the fact that even if you heal your paralysis, I guess you could say, because it's Gen 1 custom games, you still need to actually switch out before you get the speed back. It's kind of hard to explain, but for Take Heart and Heal Bell, once you have, gotten rid of paralysis, it works like the way it does with Rest, where you don't have the stat, or not the stat, you don't have the status, I mean, but the speed stat is still cut. You need to switch, come back in, and only then is it reset back to normal. Now, in some ways, it's not the biggest deal in the world, because if anything, it's just more like consistency. Many things kind of have to fish for the full paralysis in order to win. I think a good example would be Slowbro, where Slowbro is already pretty annoying with Rest and Amnesia, but part of the reason Rest works so well in the first place is because you paralyze something, and you try to fish for them being fully paralyzed so you can wake up safely with good HP. Manaphy kind of removes that, and can sometimes even lead to wasted turns if you're trying to solely rely on the paralysis. The other issue is the fact that it's just not Amnesia. At least on 1v1s where something's healthy, it's just a little too slow. And you're gonna see that in these replays. Against things like Starmie, Tauros, Alakazam, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to tell you that just 1 boost is probably not enough. You're probably better off just going in for raw damage. And luckily, raw damage is something Manaphy's good at. And luckily, being tanky is something Manaphy is good at. And luckily, being fast is something that Manaphy is good at. It's good at a lot of things if you can't tell. But what do you expect? It has a base stat total of 500 in RBY. It has 100 in every stat. It's tanky, it's strong, and I didn't test it, but now that I'm looking at these stats, I'm realizing that physical moves are 100% on the table. But first, let's go over why I chose these moves here. Blizzard and Surf are probably self-explanatory. Surf is your main attacking move, and then Blizzard is for Ice Weak Pokemon like Exeggutor and Zapdos, as well as anything you have a bad matchup in. For example, Jolteon and Gengar, they kind of beat you pretty badly with Thunderbolt, so Blizzard allows you to maybe win that if you get a freeze. Meanwhile, for Rest, I just think it's really important to get Manaphy's HP back up, because Manaphy does have a very interesting position in RBY, where it can get paralyzed, it can heal itself, and even if you switch, you're still resetting that speed. And you have base 100 speed, you're tied with Zapdos, so not only is your crit rate great at over 19%, but you're just one of the fastest things in the format. That's something that Starmie, Tauros, no one can do anything even similar to that. You can Rest, or just Take Heart, both of those are great, and you can become fast again, even after getting your speed reduced. But now, I didn't look at this beforehand, so we're going to look at this together. But let's try to look at the physical moves. Oh, by the way, there's also Acid Armor. If you want, you can potentially do something like Acid Armor, Take Heart, Rest, and then, like, Surf. So you're just completely unkillable. Probably a gimmick, but it's something. Heart Swap, unfortunately, doesn't work. The winner of the Infinite Fusion Tournament, Anir, tried it, and it just didn't do much. Psychic, you probably don't need. Reflect and Light Screen could be interesting. But for the physical moves, I'm assuming it probably has at least Hyper Beam. Yeah, it has Hyper Beam. But anything else? Let me see. Strength, no. Body Slam. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like in Gen 3, but not here, doesn't look like. Okay, only Hyper Beam, that's unfortunate, but... whatever. Like, you're doing fine either way, I would say. Overall, a really good Pokemon. But I don't think it's Ubers. Probably decent in Ubers, but... I think Take Heart's just a little too slow in order for it to be too much for the meta to handle. But for now, let's get on to the replays. Starting off with the boy himself, we got Tauros. And yeah, with that physical bulk, you're taking that pretty well, but you are a little susceptible to crits. Thunderbolt Tauros technically does more damage, but it's really not worth it. And you need at least one Take Heart in order to 2KO Tauros with Surf. So you're probably better off just going for Surfs immediately and trying to fish for a crit. That's just my opinion. And now we got Snorlax. And the big difference here is the fact that you're faster. At least on paper. Granted, Body Swim isn't like always common. But still, it can kind of suck. But on the bright side, if you do get 2 special boosts off, not only do you 2-shot Snorlax, but you're able to survive 2 Body Slams into a Hyper Beam. It's definitely a range, but I think this right here is really showing just Manaphy's physical bulk, as well as just its everything bulk. And speaking of bulk, yeah, Chansey just not have the power to really take you down. Even if Chansey is faster, all you really need is just one turn to get the special boost, and Thunderbolt is no longer an issue. Chansey has a speed boost here, but it doesn't really matter, because Manaphy is now so tanky that Chansey can't take it out. And with Rest, Seismic Toss isn't an issue either. And lastly, because you are getting rid of the paralysis, the other potential win con for Chansey, which would be getting a full turn of paralysis, is very unlikely to happen. So Chansey has no way of really threatening Manaphy. It could try to go for a paralysis, but the odds are Manaphy's just going to, refresh itself. Unfortunately, as you see, Manaphy does need to have max special in order to, 2AKO Chansey. And I wanted to test it out. It was not optimal to do that for this replay, since Manaphy was definitely winning, but it was already at 999. But I was curious if you can still, get rid of the paralysis, even if you're at max special. And you technically could, but now Manaphy has more than 999 stats, so it just kind of... It's RB-wise, it made things super buggy. I figured it wasn't worth staying for this replay, so I just forfeited. But I think it's pretty obvious that Manaphy was in a position to win here. I'll call it good matchups, though, and not great, because I'm pretty sure Manaphy still kind of, you know, has the... You kind of have to lose a bit with power points. Meanwhile, Alakazam, if the Zam is paralyzed, maybe this is good, but 1v1 and healthy, it's just abysmal. Zam has no reason not just go for Psychics, and with special drops and crits, Manaphy is kind of cooked. It's where you really wish you had reliable recovery. And it's also where you can probably see why just one stat isn't enough. If it was +2, even if you got a special drop, it's not the worst thing in the world. You're tankier and you might be able to outlive it with some luck. But here, one special drop forces you to be kind of at neutral, which... Yeah, that's not the best. But what is the best, though, is your matchup against Exeggutor. You're probably not having Stun Spore, and there's Mega Drain, but Mega Drain only does a 4th with just... without any special boost. Afterwards, Manaphy is just living large, and there's not really anything egging it to hurt you. It's forced to go for Explosion, if it's able to go for Explosion, since there's a good chance that it can get frozen or crit. And you should probably just go for Take On immediately, which makes the matchup even more one-sided for Exeggutor. Now here's Gengar, and with Take On, I don't think it changes much. I think it's technically still a 3-hit KO. So your only real option is just to go for Blizzard and hope for Freeze, which, yeah, it's probably not in your favor. But at least you can crit it, maybe. But they can crit you. It's the same thing here for Jolteon. Now, thankfully, Take Heart is a big deal here, as it turns a 2-hit KO into a 3-hit KO. But once you get a Freeze exactly like you see there, it's probably not going to end well for you. Especially since Jolteon has a good chance of going for a crit. And if you get a crit, you're just screwed. But now we're going to keep going, and this time it's Jinx, and since Manaphy's faster than Jinx, this is not like Alakazam at all. Right here, you were just fine. You were absolutely fine, and you don't have to care too much. Psychic can get crits or special drops, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. So just, overall, just a pretty consistent matchup. We're almost done. Didn't bother with a Rhydon replay, but we absolutely did Slowbro. And when I first started to make this replay, you can really see in my Discord server, which you should join by the way, but I was saying how I was kind of dreading this match, because I thought it was going to be pretty bad between, you know, just two bulky water types that can heal, or, you know, get rid of status, and only have resistant moves. But no, this is a complete stomp for Manaphy, where it just has a 0% chance of losing. Turns out that when you resist Surf, when you have a good crit rate, and when you can get rid of paralysis, there is just nothing Slowbro can do. Even if Slowbro had max special, Manaphy is just not taking too much from Surfs at all. And since Manaphy is always faster, that means even before getting paralyzed, it can always have at least one special boost. So even if Manaphy gets painfully unlucky, it can very comfortably remove that paralysis, and you can just not care about boosted Surfs. And the replay you're looking in front of you is probably the best case scenario. Manaphy was paralyzed twice in a row, and Slowbro managed to boost like all the special it could have wanted, and it still couldn't take down Manaphy. And yes, both are max special, so Manaphy only has Blizzard and Surf. But not only can Blizzard freeze, which is a win con in of itself, but Surf is still stab, and with 100 base speed, it's able to fish for crits pretty easily. Now granted, in this replay, I could have played more optimally. I could have had the Slowbro specifically try to, rest on turns and protect Blizzard. But at the same time, an optimal Manaphy player can take advantage of Slowbro being faster. And that's the crazy part. What you should do is, once you have, you know, max special, you just go for Surf, fish for crits, and at some point you have to force the Slowbro to go for rest. And since you're faster, it will wake up, and that's exactly one turn where you are free to go for Blizzard, and it's guaranteed not to go for Rest. So that's 8 guaranteed opportunities to fish for freeze. Yeah, so no matter what, Swelbro is kind of cooked. It is just not doing anything. And since you have, Surf, not even like it can outstall you. Now here's Victory Bell. And for once, Victory Bell's special is just high enough to where it can actually win a 1v1. But as you can see, if one of them misses, it's a game over. If Victory Bell's frozen, it's a game over. And if Manaphy crits, it's probably a game over. Either game over or Victory Bell barely survives. And now we got Starmie, and kind of like what I said yesterday with the Gorbis video. Whether it's Psychic or Thunderbolt, Starmie most likely will have some sort of coverage unless it's Surf was instead, but that's very unlikely. And even without Thunderbolt, even just Psychic is incredibly annoying. It's Stab, can lower Special, and no matter what, Starmie has a great crit rate, which can just hit past those Special boosts. So yeah, you kind of suffer, but you can maybe win that. Last but not least, we got Zapdos. And Blizzard is a 3-hit KO, and both of you have a speed tie. So freezing and getting a crit are just as valuable as Zapdos critting you or outspeeding you. So I think I had it in bad, but I think I need to change this. I think it needs to go in the could go either way. And you can I don't like this in could go either way, but yeah, overall I think this is a pretty solid tier list. Manaphy did pretty good, but it's also not broken either, which I think is perfect. Mew would definitely be broken RBY, and Jirachi is probably Ubers as well. As for the others, I do not know. I do not know about the other mythicals. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, one thing I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure Manaphy will be in the next season of Generation Jumble, and I plan on making a full-on YouTube video re-explaining it. I'm kind of self-rebooting it. But in short, Generation Jumble are a series of formats/tournaments that I host on my Discord server based off these what if videos. So for Manaphy, for example, the next one I'm going to host, at least when it comes to a traditional double elimination tournament, it's probably going to have Manaphy in it, along with other new Pokemon. Should be a lot of fun. We also have a Minecraft server right now that's a lot of fun too. So please join that if you want. Just look at the Discord link in the description below. But until next time, this is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.